Hey everybody, happy Monday night. Thanks again for joining me on another Monday Night Live. I am Tom Summers with Coldwell Banker Realty. For any of you that might be tuning in or seeing this after the live broadcast has completed, I like to talk a little bit about real estate in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area and also discuss some other fun things that I'm doing with regards to music and tell a couple of stories about real estate. So tonight I want to start by talking to mostly home buyers or people that are considering purchasing a home. There is a real shortage of houses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and I guess we're the third most challenging market right now for home sales. And it's just due to lack of inventory. And that's kind of been the story all last year and the year before. So the advice I can give someone that's thinking about buying a home is don't be scared of multiple offers. Because if you are in a good situation with your offer and your financing, you should be just fine. And there are cases where you don't have to go a huge amount of money over the list price to actually get the offer accepted. Sellers aren't always just looking for money. Of course, they want to get the highest amount that they can for the sale of their home. It's natural. We all want that. But they also want to make sure that the deal is done. So let's say they're moving out of state or they're moving somewhere else and they're going to close on their home right after you you purchase theirs. They want to make sure that when you guys show up that day to buy that house, that your financing is done, you have the money, the loan is finished, they can close on that home and then move right to the next home to purchase. So there's more to it than just money. But one of the things that you want to be aware of as far as making sure that you have a good offer is, number one, meet with a loan officer, which I know I've kind of bludgeoned that subject to death, but it's very important so you know where your comfort level is with financing, but also writing a clean offer, one that is good for you as a buyer, but also makes it open-ended to help the seller maybe choose you. So one of the things is paying your own closing costs. Another thing is maybe saying, instead of closing on April 30th, we'll close on April 30th or before. So maybe the 27th works better. It's something that everyone has to agree to. But the nice thing is, at least at that point, it gives you a couple of options that might make it easier for them to choose you. You can also do an inspection, but don't do 10 days. Do a 7-day inspection period. Anything that might be good for them to want to choose you. And you have to be patient. It's okay if you lose a house. No big deal. I know it's the house of your dreams, but I promise you, I've been doing this for 18 years. When one house sells, another one pops up in its place. And I can tell you from experience with my own life, before I was a real estate agent, the house I'm in right now, which I've been in for 25 years with my wife, we lost 3 in a row. And each time it was worse than the last. And we were so devastated after the third one. We're just like, oh, what are we going to do to get a house? It was multiple offers and a lot of different circumstances. And what I came to realize is that hindsight is truly 20/20. Now this home we've been in for 25 years, we're so grateful that the other 3 didn't turn out and didn't go through. Couldn't have told you that at the time, but I can tell you now that it really made a huge difference. And I'm so grateful that it worked out the way it worked out. So sometimes you don't always know why you end up where you end up. But the key is to not overpay, to be patient, and to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row by having your pre-approval letter, knowing what you can afford, and understanding or having a real estate agent that will help you structure the right kind of offer. Because sometimes, like if I'm a listing agent on a property and I have multiple offers, the first thing I do is I sit down and I look at the financing and the price and all of that. But then I look at, okay, who is this agent? Do I know this person? Have they represented their buyer well by giving me all the information that I need? Or do I have to chase them down to get the pre-approval letter? Did they send me a copy of the earnest check? There are so many things I can do to make you look really good. And that's what I'm here to do. So there you go. Anyone you know in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area, if you're thinking about buying a house or selling, have them give me a call. I'll be happy to have a free consultation and share information with them. Funny story. I always try to tell a funny story every week. And this one's actually not funny per se. It's more, I don't know, discerning or concerning, I should say, to a buyer. If I'm trying to set up a showing for you and we keep getting denied, it's time to walk away. So I believe that you can't always work scheduling out with people, and they have lives that are selling their homes. So if we make 3 attempts to try to set up a showing at different times during the day and different times during the week, and all 3 times we're denied, it's time to just walk away. Because you don't know, maybe they don't want to really sell their house. And some people are like, well, why would they put it on the market? Well, maybe they're getting divorced and the person that's living in the home has no place to go and doesn't want to sell. There are so many reasons as to why. So after about the 3rd chance, we need to move on, which moves to my story. My story is this. So I have this young buyer, and I was trying to show her properties, and we were denied. And the odd thing is that I was approved for the showing over the weekend, and then like 30 seconds later, I was denied. And I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why we'd be approved and then denied. So I called the real estate agent up, and she actually said this to me. She's like, well, we have so many showings today that I think that if we have back-to-back showings, or we have more than one happening at the same time, that I'm robbing the buyer of their experience to see the house. And I'm like, well, robbing the experience, number one, it's your job to market the house. So let me put it to you this way, for those of you that are listening. If you hired a real estate agent to sell your house, and you found out that that agent was just arbitrarily turning down showings and not allowing them to happen, simply because of the fact that she felt that it would ruin the buyer's experience to see the home, how angry would you be? I personally would be very upset that I'm not marketing to every potential buyer, because if I can't get the buyer in the door, how am I going to get them to be encouraged to write an offer? So again, it goes back to think about who you're going to hire, because you want to make sure that that person's doing everything they can to sell the house. And I've told this story to a couple of people, and everyone thinks I'm full of crap. And it's like, no, this is the truth. This is actually happening. And I'm very surprised, because I want as many people in that house as I possibly can get at any given moment, because that creates the interest, and it makes people go, okay, gosh, we're seeing so many people here. We need to really consider this. It's like eBay. The more interested people and the more people watching that particular item, the better chance you have of getting multiple offers, which is the goal at the end of the day. So there you go. Not really funny, just kind of an odd story. Music-wise, so the big thing that's coming up this weekend is REO Speedwagon at the Mystic Lake Showroom in Shakopee, Minnesota. So for those of you that like classic rock, REO always puts on a great show. I will be out there shooting photographs of them. So if you guys don't have tickets and you're looking for something to do on Friday the 13th, this would be a great evening out with your friends or your girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or partner or whomever. I hope I can see you guys out there. Make sure you stop by and say hi. If you get a chance, please leave me a Google review. I would really, really appreciate it. I'm trying to improve my online presence. So if you just type in Tom Summers Real Estate, my Google page will come up. If you guys would be kind enough to leave me a review, I would be ever so indebted to you. Thank you for that. Music-wise, I just wrapped up a week or so on the road seeing a bunch of Kiss shows. That was fun. The Tommy Thayer event a few weeks back. What a nice guy. I'm going to just encourage you, now that it's getting nicer out, get out of the house. Go see some live music. Support these bands, because if you don't get out there even to see local bands, they're not going to play anymore. And there's a lot of great local bands playing all the time. Rough House, with Brian Erickson. He's fantastic. They play locally. Arena, which I've mentioned before, they're fantastic. Oh, Hairball has a show coming up, their 20th anniversary on the Saturday the 28th at the Myth. Tickets are still on sale for that. Get out and support those guys. They put on a great show. You also have solo artists out there as well doing shows. John Eller with his Zeppo thing, which they do all Led Zeppelin songs. Gosh, there's so many. Oh, Bad Girlfriends. If you like country music and like 80s pop songs, they're fantastic. So get out there and support local music, and get out there and support the national acts. I'm hoping that the whole coronavirus thing will blow over sooner rather than later. I certainly don't want anyone to get sick. Ken just mentioned that. And, you know, get out there and support it. It's going to blow over. It's going to be okay. Just wash your hands and take care of yourselves. But I hope I see you out at some shows. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you could leave me a Google review, ever so grateful to all of you for doing that. And for everyone that has done it already, thank you. It's going to really make a difference. And I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. It's warming up. It was 60 degrees on Sunday yesterday in Minneapolis. So for all of us living in this frigid north, that was just so great to actually open the windows and get outside for a while. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Like I said, REO coming up this weekend, plus a lot of other local music going on. We've got all kinds of big shows coming this summer to Minnesota. The Motley Crue tour, the Guns N' Roses is coming, the Rolling Stones. I heard Bob Dylan is going to tour this summer. I'm not sure if he's going to make a stop here. Just so many incredible artists. So get out there, and I go to Polestar. Pollstar. That is a fantastic place for you to find out who's in town, and then the app bands in town as well. Oh, Kevin's asking a question. Chris, okay, I'll get to Chris too. If you hire a home inspector before you buy a home and you find issues after that weren't disclosed or found, where are your legal chances, or what are your legal chances for reconciliation? Thanks, Kevin. That's actually a great question. In fact, I was just dealing with that today on a purchase from a year ago. With regards to that, number one, when you're buying a house, make sure that you do a home inspection. Hire someone that's not Uncle Jim, not that Uncle Jim doesn't have skills, but hire someone who is a full-time home inspector that has all of the tools and knows what to look for. Because sometimes it's as much as what you don't see as what you do see. So with regards to your question, I can't give you legal advice, but I can tell you this. If someone sold you a home and hid something from you that you discover within a certain time frame, because every state's different, if you can prove that they knowingly hid something from you, you should be able to either go to court or to arbitration to have them pay for those repairs. So a great example would be they write on a disclosure, hey, guess what? I haven't had any water in my basement ever. You move in, and 3 or 4 days later, or a week later, all of a sudden you end up with 6 inches of water in your basement. Then you call out a professional and they say, well, God, look at this patching, look at this here and all of that they can show you that there's no way they couldn't have known. Well, now that's something that you could go to court or to arbitration to say, look, we have some indications here that we believe you weren't being honest. The whole key to all of this is always to be able to prove that that person knowingly hid something. So in the case that I was talking about today, we have an issue with the subfloor. From what we can see so far of the bathroom subfloor is that the permit was pulled. The sellers probably, maybe, don't know that there was an issue with the subfloor, so the toilet wasn't put in right because the tile is wrong because of the subfloor. But then you can go back to the city and say, well, wait a minute, you permitted this, did you not check it out? So in a situation like that, you may have a case as well. But you can't go after someone for just fixing something the wrong way or hiring someone that doesn't know what they're doing. So I would say if you are in a situation, Kevin, where you need to know about that, it's probably a good idea if you hire or at least consult with a real estate attorney, not a general attorney, but a real estate. They'll be able to at least tell you, what your legal rights are and if you have some kind of recourse. I hope I didn't go in a circle on you, but that hopefully answered it. Melissa wants to know, what about what about garage floors and sidewalks until winter? Melissa, I'm not really sure exactly what you're asking, so please private message me. I'm more than happy to answer that question for you. I don't know if you're talking about liability, like if someone slips or falls, or what you're talking about. And Pat Lucero, thank you. Yes, don't forget to mention the Big Rock Summer Tour. Thank you. I completely forgot. I don't know if it's coming to Minneapolis, but I'm gonna drive or fly somewhere to see this. The Big Rock Summer Tour is Slaughter, Tom Kiefer, and God, who else? See, I'm drawing a blank. Pat, help me out here. It's a huge summer tour of all great 80s bands, and hopefully it comes to your town. They just announced some of the locations they're going to, and I'm really hoping they'll come to Minneapolis. I'm going to miss the Chicago show, but I'm going to definitely hit them at one of these because it's going to be a great week or day of music. What else? Oh, Melissa's asking about in the spring they popped up bad as far as the sidewalks. We get that every year with our concrete as well. I would say to you that is a common occurrence in Minnesota because we have the frost and everything, and it's heaving because of the frost, and then it typically will settle back down. Some people say you can mud jack stuff or sand jack. Sometimes you're better off replacing it, but even when you replace the concrete, it doesn't always work right at the end because if you don't solve whatever's going on below it, you're going to have the same problem again. But it's also a situation where maybe the seller knows, maybe the seller didn't know. And if we have a really cold winter, we may have more heaving than we do in another winter. Like, it's like ice dams. Same kind of thing. We have a house we've been in for 25 years. 2 or 3 years ago, we got ice dams. Other than that, I don't think we've ever had them before. Chris, thank you so much. He mentioned Rat and Skid Row. So thank you. So it's Rat, Skid Row, Tom Kiefer, and Slaughter. What a great lineup if you like 80s rock and roll. That'll be a great tour. And I'm assuming they're all going to be doing full sets. I've seen all of these bands. They're all fantastic live. They all have a lot of great songs. And it's something you want to get out and support. Anyone else have any other questions before I sign off? Thank you guys all so much for taking a few minutes out of your day. Again, if you wouldn't mind, go to Tom Summers Real Estate. Just type it in Google, and up will my Google page will come up. Excuse me. Please leave me a review. That would be so helpful. I am so appreciative. I hope you guys have a super great week. Thank you so much. Get out there and see some live music, country, rock and roll, rap, I don't care. Get out there. You can tape whatever's on TV or watch it on Netflix. Guys, have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday night at 7 o'clock Central Time.